So hello and welcome to the Lead Generation Strategies podcast. This is your host, Joey Myers from Lead Generation SEO Services.com. This video is a case study that is going to highlight one of my good friends and clients who owns a workers' compensation attorney website. He's a partner, and the website is farleyketendjian.com. And for those that are listening, in the show notes, we'll have the website URL, so you don't have to worry about trying to remember how to spell that and put that in. But I want to first welcome you to the show, Ketendjian.
Thank you, Joey. I'm very privileged to have you today as a guest.
You got it. So go ahead and give a little bit of information about your business, what you guys do, maybe clientele, whatever, however you see it.
Well, I am a workers' compensation attorney. I have been in this business for about 30 years now. And my task is to represent people who injure themselves at work. It could be bodily injury, it could be emotional injuries. Also, I represent those unfortunate or the families of those unfortunate who died at work because of their activities at work. I am running their cases from the very beginning, filing claims for them, securing benefits, trying to find doctors for them. In difficult cases, litigate, go to court, appear in front of the judge, and we do hearings, conferences, discovery, depositions, everything that usually an attorney does, but within the workers' compensation framework.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And as a business owner yourself, as a small business owner, now you have to be not only an attorney, but you got to be a marketer as well. So what were some of the things that you tried in the past to get your name out there?
Well, I'm a one-man orchestra because I do everything for my business, like books, accounting, securing clients, paying the payroll for the employee, everything that usually a small business owner does, plus my attorney's duties. So you can understand that it's quite a challenge on a daily basis to divide my duties as an attorney and administrator at the same time.
Right. Now, I know before we started working on your website, you had hired a company. And so talk a little bit about how what your goals were when you hired the company and what ended up coming to fruition at the end.
Well, let me give you a little prehistory. Traditionally, attorneys were working with the yellow pages to get their customers. But yellow pages are dead. I'm declaring they're dead at this point as far as small businesses and their opportunities to find customers are concerned. I think anybody at this point who puts their name in yellow pages is just doing it for prestige, and that's all. But it's not really giving us anything. So I thought that maybe I need to boost a website. I had a rudimentary website. I wasn't pleased with it. It was just a one-pager. So I decided to hire a major firm. I don't want to name the firm, but I'm not really very satisfied with the result. Yes, they did the website, but it took them more than half a year to compose the website, to finish it. While I was paying monthly for their services, and then it took them a couple of more months to put them into the search engines. And basically the end result was that I couldn't find my own self in Google or elsewhere. I had to go to page 35 or 25 to really under work comp attorneys headings in Fresno to get it. So I wasn't satisfied with them. They started telling me that I need to give them keywords, pictures, this and that. The time flew, and basically I was very dissatisfied. And at the end, they even told me I don't own my website. So if I discontinue my service with them, they're just going to take it away from me. So you can imagine what kind of a catastrophe that would be had I not found you at that moment.
Mm. and again, we won't name the company, but the company was marketed as a one-stop shop, right? So once they did everything, they did the design, they did the marketing, they did everything, right?
I know they did everything. But I spoke every time with a new person. It was very misguided, misdirected. Nobody knew what I was complaining about because I had to really start from the very beginning each time. Mm-hmm. And all they needed is just regular payments. That part worked like a clock, but the rest of it was not what I was expecting. I know they did a good website. They filled in some of the information for me. I provided the other info. So it was a joint concerted effort, but that took 7-8 months. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I mean, for 7-8 months, I was paying for their services and not getting any clients through their efforts. Can you imagine?
Right. And then also too, the fact that for those out there, I mean, the site isn't that, it's not like you have like my hitting sites, 360 plus blog posts, right? You had how many pages? Four or 5 pages. You had a homepage, you had a contact and about.
Yeah, it was something very simple and it had to work from the very beginning. I blessed the content like within the first month of our work. I don't know why it took so long for them to really put it into the market, so to speak, Mm-hmm. And the end result was that nobody would even take a responsibility for the result itself. In other words, when I started complaining that where am I, the visibility and stuff, Mm-hmm. They started giving me some accounts, charts, but that doesn't really help me. Mm. In other words, so what? Mm. They created a number for me. They took that number away from me, which created also a havoc because I told them from the very beginning, I have an office number. Why should I really go with your number? So in other words, maybe the old clients or somebody now who wants to use that number is not able to use it anymore, Mm-hmm. So it's like they were overly possessive of their work product, but their work and the product really left a lot of doubts in my mind.
Right.
Of ability, of usefulness or practicality of their use, Well,
I thought the icing on the cake was before we got doing the SEO stuff that we were boosting some of we did a couple blog posts and we boosted a couple of those blog posts on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And you were in the midst of this battle trying to get the control of the site back. And one of the charts that they showed you was, hey, look, we've gotten you this extra traffic on Facebook. You see this over here? See this traffic? That wasn't them. That was us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, they ripped because you came into the picture while they were still there.
Right.
I wasn't finished with them when you came to assist me with my Facebook page, and we started actively like doing video clips on different subjects together. Mm-hmm. And that helped a lot. And everybody who was telling me that I am here, they were just quoting I found you on Facebook rather than through your website. In other words, they first would go to my Facebook page and then find my website, which is putting the cart in front of the horse. I want them to find my web page first or website and then maybe visit my Facebook account, Mm-hmm. That's my goal. My goal is to make my website independently fruitful for my business. Not just as a nice glitzy thing that you can really reach by putting farleyketendjian.com, mm-hmm. but just by finding in the search engine. That was my prerogative from the very first day. And then when I heard that you are doing your CEO activity and started actively helping other businesses by putting their site into the search engine so that people would find it easier, I was very happy with that idea. So I instantly called the old, web people, mm-hmm. and I just said that I no longer need your services. Of course, they charged me for breaching the contract for a couple of more months of doing nothing, basically, And I ended up paying over 6 or 7K for something I never enjoyed a minute, and it was just a headache and bunch of phone calls all the time to figure out why my money is not working in this particular setting. I'm paying and you're not doing your job, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I know one of the things, and you keep hearing that you want to be found, right? Want to be found on Google, want to be found primarily on Google, but Facebook and things like that. And the difference between the two is on Facebook or any social media platform, that's considered interrupt marketing, right? People are normally scrolling their feeds for cat and dog videos, and then they see an ad for Farley and Ketendjian, workers' comp attorney, Fresno, and say, oh, I need those services. So they click and they come over, and whether they see something they like or they don't, then they'll come back to Facebook, back to those cat and dog videos, right? So in Google, what's better about Google, people finding you through that search, is they're a warmer lead because they have a search intent. They are searching for specific things on Google. And if they're searching workers' comp attorney Fresno and your site shows up on that first page, then that's going to be a warmer client. They're going to spend more time on your site than they would on, say, the social media. Not saying social media is a bad thing to be doing, boosting posts and to be on social media, but you want to be found on Google.
Yes, I want to be found, period. And if it's the medium that really helps people to find me, I can't really stop the hearing and say, Your Honor, let's optimize my website for 5 seconds and I'll go back to the trial, you know? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm doing my job, and somebody who I hire needs to do their job for me to really find my clients. That's my basic demand, because you know what my goal is? To at least have on monthly basis 5 to 10 new clients. Mm-hmm. If I reach that goal, then whatever we're doing is working. Mm-hmm. We're not yet close to that, but the people are calling. Mm-hmm. But I think that maybe it takes time. I understand, mm-hmm. but that is what ultimately I look for. Of course, I can reject like 5 out of 10 mm-hmm. because some people are just curious. They're not even clients. They're calling for their friends, relatives, you know. Mm-hmm. And in those cases, I can't even discuss anything, right, because that's not who I'm going to hire or who is going to hire me potentially.
Right.
But, you know, that's the goal, so that the community would be at the fingertips of my, location, so they could find it instantly. Mm-hmm. And if they have a question, like yesterday, somebody called, they had a question. I gave them 5 minutes to ask me the question because I advertised that my initial consultation is free. So I cannot reject a person asking me a question, even though that might not end up into a professional relationship of a client and attorney, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah. And so what I want to do now is I want to share screen and bring up your website. Let me pull up your website first. Put my speaker here so it's ready to go. And we're going to talk about what were some of the things that we did to go outside of what the other company was doing. So let me share my screen. Let's see here, there we go. You see that, Corinne?
Yes, I do. I see it.
Okay. So I'm going to move our little chat bubble here of us on the side. So one of the things that we wanted to do, the old website, it looked okay. Part of what we do is we have a designer, graphic designer, her name's Genevieve, and she does UI UX graphic design, which is user interface, user experience, which graphic design on its own can look really nice, but if it doesn't funnel the prospect into the call to action that we're looking for, then that design isn't necessarily optimized. So in Corinne's case, being a workers' comp attorney here locally, we wanted to get it to where the design itself funneled into his call to action, which is contact us one free. So looks like we'll have to maybe consolidate some of this verbiage a little bit because we're on a PC. We should be able to see this green here. So it's just a little bit where above the fold is what we say. So before the user scrolls down, they should be able to see the call to action. So there's a little bit of adjustment that we'll make here. But then if we look at it on mobile, which I hope we can see this on the Zoom here, but mobile, you can see the call. Can you see that, Corinne? So you can see the actions right there, which most of the web traffic right now, or not right now, has been for a long time and is growing, is mobile. So mobile friendly, we should see Corinne's face, just more of a branding profile, see his logo, and we should see that call to action there. The information about what they're searching should be clear as day. So the PC is not quite as important as the mobile version, but the point is that we used UI UX graphic design to redo this website. And then we worked on the on-site optimization, which, as you can see, workers' comp attorney Fresno. That was one of the main keywords that we're using to target, because there is such a thing as what's called search intent. So we could target a keyword because it gets a lot of searches. We can target workers' comp attorney by itself, and that search might get 2,500 or 1,000 searches a month. The problem with that is in attorneys are almost bound by their states. So Corinne maybe can help out of state, but most likely cannot. Has to be California law, and we have to stay within that state. So if somebody's searching workers' comp attorney and they're in Maine, chances are Corinne probably can't help what they're doing, or at least can't take up the case, or what is that? Is that true? Is that fair, Corinne?
Yes. I mean, if you put just work comp attorney, somebody from New Jersey or Illinois might just call, or Texas, ask a question. Not that I would really refuse to answer, but maybe my answer wouldn't apply to their local laws, because every state have their own local rules, laws, and statutes. So therefore, I'm licensed to practice in California, and we want to kind of, by the method of elimination, if you will, just trigger the customers who live in California. Yeah, I wouldn't mind to take a good case from San Francisco or Los Angeles. It's in California, right? Or San Diego. But still, mostly for practical purposes, I would love to concentrate in San Joaquin area, Valley, San Joaquin Valley, from Bakersfield through, let's say, Madera, and, all of that area. Right. Yosemite, the whole area, yes.
Right. So this is highly targeted. So those people that are listening out there that have local brick and mortar businesses, with SEO, what's nice is not only can we increase the presence in a nationwide type of thing. So if you have a course that you sell and it's more of a nationwide or even countrywide in a different country, but we can also take the local and we can target local keywords that have high intent, meaning the intent is that they are close to checkout or ready to buy. So workers' comp attorney Fresno is somebody who's shopping for an attorney in this area that has an issue, has a need, and they're looking to hire an attorney. So they're doing that research and that guesswork. Workers' comp attorney, that person may be in more of the beginning stages of researching what workers' comp attorneys do, and they're more top of the funnel, we call it, versus bottom of funnel, which is more of a ready to buy person. So we did UI UX design with Corinne's website, user interface, user experience. We did on-site SEO, which you can see here. We're using a lot of these keywords. Yeah, we got California in here too, so that we can grab just California in general. And I wanted to do a Google search real quick. This out of the way. Get on the Google. And just because these keywords may not have a ton of traffic every month, so say workers' comp attorney Fresno might have 170 searches per month, but those searches are quality searches. And if we can show up high on Google for those keywords, we're going to be better off. Workers' comp attorney Fresno, California might have 70 searches, but again, it's highly relevant results of people that are searching for that. So if we put there's workers' comp attorney Fresno, and let's see where Corinne's showing up today. He's been as high as, I think, 6? I think we've had you 5 or 6, right, Corinne?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And
yes.
it kind of vacillates between 6 and 10, kind of goes in there, average 7, 8 or whatever. So for those that aren't familiar with search, you're going to have a lot of, so you got attorneys nearby. So this is our goal to get here. Now, what we're doing is we're doing a little bit of an experiment where we're only working on the outside or off page SEO is what we call it. So that's backlinks, that's citations or directories and guest posting. So we're only doing citations. We did 2 months prior, the last 2 months, we did some backlinking and we're going back to citations. So we've really only been doing the citations and a little bit of backlinking since we first started. So these are ads. These are lawyers nearby. So this is good. We want to be in this here to where people are searching and their phone is via Bluetooth or not Bluetooth, but GPS are pulling in what workers' comp attorneys in Fresno are nearby. So our goal, we're working to get into this here, Google My Business, to where Corinne's going to show up here. So it's going to take a little bit of time and on the map. And then we're going now, these are the official, this is number one. This is the number one for workers' comp attorney Fresno. We got 2, 3, personal injury attorney Fresno. We got Yelp, which is number 4. Lawyers Find Law, which Corinne with the previous company was listed on, but it wasn't his company. It was Find Law. And then they have to go in there and find Corinne as an attorney. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now he's 6. So he's 6 today on here for workers' comp attorney Fresno. So he's in here now. Our goal obviously is right here. We want this one, number 1, because the number 1 search for those key terms are getting 83 to 85% of the traffic. So if there's 170 that are searching this, these guys are getting the bulk of the traffic coming from that. But we are on the first page and it's just going to take a little bit more backlinking to get him to move up to that top spot. But that's only doing citations mostly and a couple of months of backlinking. Anything you want to add, Corinne?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, you are talking about your area, and I'm fully trusting your professional judgment and expertise on this issue. All I can say is that, first of all, I'm very satisfied with the website.
Mm-hmm.
Genevieve is superb. I mean, the work that she has done.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is a work in the process.
Yep.
Can't just rest on our laurels. We have to always modify, introduce changes because the time dictates the needs, right? Whatever there is new or whatever works in finding or in search, we need to apply. I'm fully confident that together we can really come up with certain new topics.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now when there is a lot of crisscross between COVID-related issues and work comp.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to optimize that side, be up to date in our endeavors to help the community. Now, our goal is to make it easy for people to find me, and I'm ready to help them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it is our duty to tune basically the search methodology into the demands of the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I understand it. So it is good that we have all of those traditional keywords, which usually any person uses in order to find the work comp attorney in their area. We could also add other probably titles to that list. What do you think?
Yep. No, you're exactly correct. And we were talking, as you mentioned, about the COVID vaccine stuff, because that is another, I think, untapped, if you want to call it, a market for workers' comp attorneys. And I'm not going to say any of the keywords because I don't want anybody stealing our keywords, but we have
I know.
Probably about 6 to 8 keywords that we're going to be targeting. And they're lower. You're not getting 500 searches a month with these keywords. They're smaller, but they're highly targeted. They're people that are dealing with that right now, that specific issue. And if that attorney shows up first, which means it's low competition right now, because I don't think a lot of attorneys
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The momentum is right to use that because the dynamic of the employer-employee relationship is changing as we speak because of the mandates.
Right.
And who knows what kind of interesting twist it will introduce into our practice. Because people can use the mandate as an instrument of discriminating against the injured workers. That's a possibility, you know. They can hire and fire based on that perimeter, but usually they fire people who are no longer of interest. And injured workers are usually a headache for an employer. Now, I'm very blunt about it. Because during my 30 years of practice, I've seen a lot of employers finding pretexts in order to get rid of their injured employees, you know? Here comes the mandate, and if you're an injured employee and you are refusing the vaccine or you are refusing to test on periodic basis, wouldn't you think that the employer will think twice before firing you?
Yep.
That's where we need to alert. In other words, the search becomes also a social issue, if you will, because whatever interests them, some people call not just because they were injured, but because they lost salary or their hours were reduced. It's all a mixed bag at the moment, you know? And a lot of people didn't work for a long time because they were on state disability. They're disoriented by saying, are they going to accept us back? There are a lot of other issues like work comp and disability, state disability, work comp and EDD. You know, there are also other key things that we could use.
Right. Yeah. So you could see what how his mind's working here. And we've had our conversations about this. And when we choose the direction that we go, that's the kind of, we're using logic and we're using that frame of mind where we're trying to think ahead, not where the hockey puck is, but where it's going to be. So we're going to be doing some of that. We're also going to take his website at some point, and if you were to copy all on the words and count the words, I think it's around 750 words or 800 words. We're going to do what we use as a write and rank strategy, where we're going to take that 750 words and turn it into 3,000 to 4,000 words, which Google loves content. And we're going to redo that website there. That method itself is almost as valuable, maybe even more so than the backlinking side of things. So we'll do a little bit more backlinking too in the future as we start to get the ball rolling, get some momentum, get some more clients, have more cases closed and things like that. So those are some of the future things that we're going to do. Anything else, Karim, before I let you go, that you wanted to add on this case study?
No, I think that we're doing everything right. We should simply optimize our efforts and see whatever works better and put the accent on that. In other words, we need to have some sort of an accountability and our own in-house statistics of what worked better, and probably put the accent on that particular feature. That's what I would just recommend at this point.
Right. And one other thing I forgot to mention too, we've talked about is, since there's a lot of clientele that speak Spanish, that's another option that we can use. We can have part of the site that is in Spanish, that is targeting Spanish keywords, so that when people on Google are searching Spanish keywords, then those are coming up as well. So there are a bunch of different, like Corinne said, we're going to take and deploy something, see how it does. If it flops, then we pull back and we try and deploy something else. Although most of that stuff I've seen. Really well.
I have a question. Can we use Spanish language keywords?
Yes.
In order to tie it to our website?
Yes.
In the search engine.
Exactly. So we can search those keywords and see what the demand is for those keywords. And we can do that. And that was one of the things we were running into some issues with Corinne's site, because we had to take it from that company and we had to completely migrate the whole site over to our own, so that it was our site, not theirs. And then with the hosting that was being used wasn't very good through GoDaddy. And I've had other sites the same way. So we had to migrate take the hosting to a different thing. So there were some things that we were dealing with, some challenges with the coding and whatnot. And so that was one of the things, was one of our virtual assistants had optimized for Spanish keywords I had found, but I couldn't fix them because then it would make the site all goofy. So once I switched it back, then we started seeing, I was wondering why the workers' comp attorney Fresno wasn't ranking higher faster. It wasn't until we switched it back from Spanish to English that those keywords started ranking a little bit better. But that is an option where we can translate in Spanish, use Spanish keywords that are being searched, and we can now pull in people from Mexico or South America, whoever, that are searching workers' comp attorney Fresno as well. So that's another tactic that we can use.
I think that you could probably consult with my assistant, Lucia Prado, regarding what would work in Spanish, because she talks to my client constantly in Spanish,
Mm-hmm. but Spanish. You speak, what, 4 or 5 different languages?
Yes, well, I know some Spanish, but not enough really to pull it through.
Right.
On a grammatical level,
Right. Okay, cool. Well, Corinne, thank you for your time today. If anybody wants to get involved with your services, workers' comp attorney Fresno, or just in California in general, where can they find you?
Well, on the website, and they could also dial 559-222-8090. That's the phone number.
In social media?
Yes. Facebook. I'm in the Facebook.
Mm-hmm. So if you just search Farley Ketendjian, and for those, again, listening to this, I'll have this in the show notes, so you don't have to remember or spell out the name and then have to remember the name, because it'd be kind of tough to remember. So again, thanks, Corinne, for meeting today and doing this case study with me. And as always, we have some great conversations, and it would be nice to be a fly on the wall.
You're welcome, Joey. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.